We are live right now, but I'm just going to grab.
We are in it, man. In it to win it.
Let me grab all this stuff first.
Yep.
Bam.
Look at that, man. Yep.
Get the Discord up, rolling.
It's a pretty sweet gig you got set up, Dallas.
I do my best. Let me grab the chat just in case we got any of those.
I hope so. We're pretty interesting fellows.
I know, right?
People should hang out with us.
Morning Dubs. Hello, boy. Someone already said hello.
Look at that, man. We're already in it to win it.
I haven't even shared everything yet.
We haven't even started discussing.
I know. You guys can probably already hear the freaking dogs in the background.
Look, he's about to go into jiu-jitsu.
Who?
Morning Dubs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Is that Darren?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. Jarko's having a heart attack out
Yeah,
there.
Jocko's freaking going crazy. All right, let me just get this, and I'll share it, and then
Yep.
I'm going to share it to your mom, too.
Yeah, share it to Candace. Candace is my mother. She's a queen.
Let me go back, share. She still have the same phone number?
Yeah.
Bam. Did you share it to your girlfriend?
No, she'll listen to it after. She's driving right now.
Okay. Well, pretty much what I wanted to do was
Do we want to take care of the dogs first?
I don't think you can hear them.
Oh, okay, sick.
But so one of my things, and sorry everybody, I have a little bit of a throat issue, so hopefully that works its way out with all the liquids we got on the table.
We have 4 liquids for 2 men.
Yeah. So all my life, pretty much, I've always loved to just help out people and always trying to like take what I've learned, turn around, reach back to the other generation, you know, the people coming up behind you, because I feel like that's what, you know, so many people did for me. I had uncles and, you know, great uncles and grandparents and all that type of stuff. And it seemed like everybody played a part in, you know, reaching back and helping me along the way when I needed it. And so I've always tried to do that too. And I've run into, you know, the normal pushbacks and, you know, but trying to help out younger kids. And now that I'm even getting older, things are just becoming a little bit more difficult for me to try to relate to the younger kids. But one of the people that I love the most is sitting right here with us, Mr. freaking Jarrett.
Hello, everybody.
And I really wanted to bring Jarrett on because I am truly, truly proud of you and the man you have become and what you've done with your life and kind of where you came from, some of your hardships. And I've watched you grow into this person, and it was literally, it was such an awesome thing to watch and to continue to watch, obviously. But I've seen you just, and there's been some very like defining moments that I've seen you really step up and move in your life and, you know, figure your own self out. And it's just been an awesome thing to watch. And I'm like, man, if more kids could not be exactly like you, but if more kids could have that mindset, could have that attitude towards life and stuff like that, then I think like so much more good would be done in the world, especially with all, you know, everyone knows all the statistics on, you know, the younger generation. And we don't have to get into those really, but, you know, they're not great.
Right.
And I think one of the best things that anybody could do is trying to help out someone from, you know, that side that's below, not below them, but just younger than them that could, you know, need a helping hand. And the hard thing is figuring out a person, if you're going to try and like help somebody or, you know, be a mentor to somebody or whatever, the person has to be like responsive to it. And you are a person who I've always tried to help out, and you've always been very responsive. I've always wanted to understand kind of like why you were wanting to even listen and stuff like that. But without further ado, Jarrett, Lindsey, we're going to kick this off with kind of get ready with what your story and kind of your upbringing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, for one, you're too flattering. You talk to me like that again, you'll get a smooch after the podcast. But either way, my name's Jarrett. I met Dallas probably when I was like 14.
Yeah,
I was a little dude. I was a little craphead kid, dude, just getting into middle school or something. And Dallas will be the first to tell you I was the biggest sinking turd loser there ever was to walk this earth. But I met Dallas. Dallas was dating my cousin and then married my cousin. And growing up, when I was 3 years old, my mom and dad divorced, and I never really saw my dad. My dad was a crippling drug addict, crack addict, anything addict. I mean, he was dabbling in it all. He did it all. And so, excuse me. And so I grew up in a single parent home with my mother. My mother, she fought, I mean, dude, thick and thin to give me what I had, and she did a good job. You know, I praise my mom so much. She whooped ass for me to be a good kid, and then, you know, sometimes I'm not, but sometimes I am.
Younger generation, look away.
Yeah, don't look at this. But so, growing up, it was always just me. I never really had a father figure in my life. I had Dallas's father-in-law. That was really about it. And he taught me a lot. And then when I met Dallas, Dallas was really just someone I could talk to. I was always able to compare myself to Dallas, and like, you know, me and Dallas would click on a lot of things because Dallas was still, you know, in his early 20s at the time, and I was coming up through my age and all this.
So one of the things, not to interrupt you at all, but
Oh, you're fine, buddy.
I remember like meeting you for the first time, and you know, I remember your mom always like loving on you, speaking very highly of you, and it's kind of like, have you? I don't know about you, but like at family get-togethers, we always had these huge family get-togethers.
Yep.
And my favorite thing to do was always be to like get away for a little bit.
Yep.
You know, because there's like 10, 20 people, whatever. And as a kid, like I always just wanted to like get away and like go do something off to the side and then maybe come back later. And I remember we were sitting at Mackenzie's grandparents' house, and you were there, and I was like, oh man, like kind of bored or whatever. And you're like, oh, we could go to my house and play Xbox. And I was like, yeah, what's up? So we kind of had that connection already, like gaming and stuff like that. And so that's kind of how it all started, was just us like talking about games, you know, and then I remember like I still remember that specific day. And I remember leaving kind of being like, I should really help this kid out. Like just in any way that I can, you know, just be there for him. Anyways, continue.
And so, you know, me and Dallas, we would always get away. I mean, even ever since, adding on to that, anytime when me and Dallas had a family get together, we go off by ourselves and just we'll either shoot the crap or do something dumb or go do anything. But growing up, it was just me. You know, I got diagnosed with ADD at a pretty young age. Couldn't focus in school or anything. Started taking medicine. Knew my mom couldn't afford the medicine. Got off the medicine. After that, I was growing up, and then I got into middle school. And, you know, met Dallas around that time, but middle school was a very tough time in my life. I got bullied very hard for my weight and how I was, and I'm a weird person. That's just,
you were a little husky.
It was more than a little husky. There's a little flabber in it, a little flubber, but you know, I mean, it is what it is. But I got picked on a lot for my weight and just being a weird kid. I was weird. I'm still weird. I mean, Dallas will tell you I'm still weird now, but
yeah, you are.
You know, and that's character. And you know, I got through that. Bullying built good character in me, and then I got to high school, and high school is kind of the same story.
Another thing too, you know, a little later on, like after kind of like building my relationship with you a little bit more,
right?
I remember kind of like thinking about you, and not a knock on Joe at all, because Joe played a big part in your life, and that's my father-in-law. And the one thing that I kind of noticed was, I'm like, Joe has done a great job of kind of stepping in and being a father figure for you. And I'm like, for me, I was the oldest child, and I was also the oldest grandchild. And for me, I never had like an older brother, but I always had my uncles, my mom's brothers, who were, you know, 4, 5, 6 years older than me, and they treated me like a younger brother a little bit. And so they were kind of my older brother. So I remember looking at you and being like, obviously I'm not going to be this kid's father figure because we're close in age, but I can be an older brother to him. I can try my best to play that role and be there for him. and it's not easy. Like I think everyone should do it should try and do that, but it's not easy stepping in and
Absolutely.
trying to help out. Continue.
But no, and that was another thing. I never had any siblings growing up. It was always just me and my mom. So me and my mom we're thick as can be. We're super tight. Cub Scouts on her. Nothing.
Oh,
less.
by the way, everyone who's has already put stuff in the chat, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are baller.
I see you.
But so then I got into high school.
Real quick, if you guys do have any questions, just put them in there and we'll get to them as
Oh yeah,
when we
absolutely.
can.
And so I got into high school, and things weren't really looking up for the better either. I mean, freshman year, you're bottom of the barrel. That's how it always is.
Yeah.
And then on one fateful day, the state of South Carolina granted me access to a motor vehicle legally. And so I was able to drive a car, and then, you become the coolest kid in school. I was one of the first ones to get a license in my grade.
Yeah.
I remember I had this you remember the S10. I had this 1999 two-door S10. My mom helped me buy it. And we had like 10 people in there after football practice, and we'd all ride to the store. And man, I thought I was the hottest thing since sliced bread, son, driving all these guys to the store after football practice and then driving them back. So then that was cool. I kind of stepped up a little bit in there and got out of the bullying phase. And I just, I tried to be nice to everybody. Throughout school, no matter what, I tried to help people. I tried to help the way I can. I was that kid, and everybody hated me for it. I was that kid that would walk into your 8 a.m. class and be like, "Good morning, everybody. How are you doing?"
Yeah.
You don't want to hear that at 8 a.m., but I was that guy, and I will die that guy. And so, went through 4 years of high school, played football captain, nothing big. Had a few offers, didn't want to go to college. And I graduated high school. And I got a job. Well, COVID hit my senior year, actually. So I had like 2 months free before I graduated, so that was good. Then I got a job. I started working at Lowe's in Greer.
Well, real quick,
Go ahead.
just for anybody who's not in the know, we're talking about Gurr, South Carolina,
Yeah, Greer, South Carolina,
and you went to Blue Ridge High School.
in BR.
Yeah.
And so graduated from Blue Ridge in 2020. Started working, started saving money, all that stuff. And
Hold on, where are you going with this next? Because I kind of want to interject here.
you want to interject? I was gonna go into the good stuff. So if you want to interject, I would interject now.
Yeah. So you kind of, I don't know how much you want to talk about your dad.
Oh no, I'm throwing it all in there.
I think you kind of grazed over that really, really quick. And because what I kind of want to, it wasn't easy for you. Like you had a great mindset and stuff like that, but
Right.
things weren't easy. And
No, absolutely not.
Nothing was handed to you ever. It was always just you and your mom.
Correct.
And Mackenzie's family kind of like adopted you guys.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yeah, Joe and Darlene adopted us a lot. Growing up there was no dad. It was me and mom, and granted, mom didn't make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Mom made enough to feed us, take care of us, and give us a house.
Yep.
And she did a great job of that. She gave me toys, all that stuff. I grew up playing, but it always had bugged me not having a father figure. Kind of. That's just something that tugs at you, man. I'm not saying I was dealt the worst card. I was dealt a very well-off card, in my opinion. Better than other people. There are people that have it worse in this world, absolutely. But growing up without, my dad, like someone I can call dad and stuff and all this, it was always just kind of a hole that was there. And it's like you said, I glanced over it because that's just kind of how I grew up. I grew up glancing over that hole in my life because that was the only thing I knew.
And if anybody doesn't know the statistics and stuff like that on people who grow up without a dad in the home, they're astronomically high for negative reasons, negative things. And
Right.
the thing that kind of really surprised me about you, and now like how old are you now exactly?
21, just turned it. Whoop, whoop.
Just turned 21. Now looking back,
Getting slammered.
looking back, I don't see any of those negative effects affecting you at all.
Right.
And to me, that is huge. And we'll get into more of that later on. But that's one of the things like why I really wanted you to come on and talk is because, a single parent, single mother, you grew up in that house, no real father figure, and none of these big negative things. You haven't been to jail. You never lost your license. You don't have a drug issue. You don't have a drinking issue.
Right.
You don't have any of these negative side effects of growing up like that. And so I'm like, we need to talk about this and figure out why.
Yep.
And so we're going to get into more of that. And I also want to ask you and kind of, I know it's not like an easy subject, but talk a little bit about, your dad and then how he passed away and,
Yep.
The decision on, wanting to meet him, not wanting to meet him, if that's okay with you.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, I was working. It was 2020. I graduated. Or no.
What was that football?
What?
I thought it was that football.
No, that was my great grandpa.
I thought he wanted to come to for your football games.
He did, but listen.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That comes after the fact.
Yeah.
And so it was around May 2020. And my mom had called me. I was on my lunch break at Lowe's eating Dairy Queen. My mom had called me and said, "Hey, I need you to get off work right now." Why? We need to go to your dad's house. And for somebody who's never had that relationship, never knew these people, I never met anyone from my dad's side of the family. They're all crippling drug addicts. And I said, "Okay, why?" And she's like, "Your dad just passed away. They just identified him." So then I left work, went and met my mom, and we drove back to this house. And I remember pulling up to this house so discreetly in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
The windows are boarded up, siding's falling off the side of it. There's about 82 half abandoned cars in front of it. And there's my dad's cracked out family sitting on the front porch crying.
Oh, man.
And so it's like, I'm still kind of in shock because it's like, dude, my dad is dead. And I never even really got a chance to meet him. And so I pull up and all these people just start hugging me. People I'd never met before, people that like have never seen me, nothing. They're just hugging me. And they're like, "Your dad loved you. He thought the world of you." So right off the back, I'm like, all right, you're on some BS. We need to sit and talk. And so we started talking, and then came how my father died. My father was a crippling alcoholic. He was out at the pool house. He had just bought this brand new like 2020 scooter. It was like a 150cc scooter. So he's like me. I know my dad was like me. He thought he was hot spaz. And so he left the bar one night speeding on that thing, probably drunk. And from what the coroner's report says and stuff, he was coming around this corner and he thought it opened into a straightaway. It was a dead end. He was going around 80 miles an hour or somewhere around there. Hit this curb, flew off the bike, and his head hit a tree and just killed him instantly, nothing more. So Highway Patrol shows up. They find his phone, and they call the last contact. It was his girlfriend at the time or whoever it was, somebody. She must have been peeved off at him. He wouldn't give her money or something, and she didn't answer. My dad sat in Spartanburg coroner's office for 3 days, unidentified. They had called my mother to identify him based on his tattoos.
Wow.
So Candace identified him. And so then we're back, and we're sitting there talking, and then it's like, all right, we need to discuss the funeral. Well, so my dad's wonderful family, being the cracked out drug addicts that they are, had no money. My dad had no money. My dad died with that bike and $250. That was it. It's all that was in my dad's name. He worked for everything he had, but dang, he just couldn't keep up with it. So then it comes time to bury him. My mom says, all right, we're going to go to the funeral. I'm like, okay, cool. We drive to this place. A lot of my Greer folks will know about Saluda, Marietta area. One of the worst spots you can be in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this little place up in Marietta. And I remember pulling up, and it was by this river. And there was this pedestal by this river with a plywood white box. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. And I get out, and my mom gets out, and we walk, and we sit down. I'm like, hey, what's that in a plywood box? Talking to the guy who's running the service. He says, oh, your dad's in there. What are you talking about? Oh, your dad's in that box. Huh. That kind of stumped me for a little bit. Because you're sitting there and you know, a lot of people have been to funerals. They get a nice coffin,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. Well, for people that die with nothing, for literally, I think this whole funeral cost like $2,000, and like mom paid $1,000 of it.
Wow.
Or something. And like usually a funeral's like 10 grand.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. It's very expensive. And dude, when I mean a plywood box, I mean a plywood box.
Like pulled off the shelves of Home Depot and Lowe's.
Like this guy just went to Home Depot, picked up some stinking plywood pressure treated stuff, threw it down, painted it white, and then built this box.
Did the inside have like pillows in it?
No, you couldn't see the inside.
I was just like all nailed shut.
No, which I wouldn't. I mean, I knew it was gonna be a closed casket anyways. You die in a motorcycle accident where you hit your head on a tree at 80 miles per hour. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it ain't gonna be something you want your grandkids to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was this closed box. I remember we going to this service, and the service was all right. It was okay. Granted, too, I never really knew anything about my dad. Didn't know nothing. I had what I gathered from my mom, which wasn't much. Candace didn't want to tell me much, which is fine. I understand it. There's no anger about it. And I remember his like uncle or something went up there. And and before that though, someone had a seizure at the funeral.
Oh gosh.
So someone had a seizure at the funeral or like heat exhaustion. So I went back there and I'm trying to help this guy with his heat exhaustion because he's like sitting on the back of the floor dying. Help him get him set up, and I sat back in my chair. And his uncle goes up, and his uncle goes on this rant about how he doesn't know if my dad's going to heaven or hell. Great thing I want to hear for someone I've never met in my life, know if they went to heaven or hell. And then it comes time to bury him. I'm like, all right, where's the hearse? Guy running it goes, what hearse? You know, the hearse, where are we taking him to be buried? Next thing you know, there's this 2000s barn door Chevy Suburban backing up to this pedestal.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, what the freak is going on? And it had like a rollout tray in the back of the Chevy Suburban.
Oh gosh.
And it was me and like my brother that I haven't seen in years. And we'll get into him in a little bit. But my brother I haven't ever met really. My real brother. And he goes, all right, load him in. And me and like 3 other people picked up my dad and put him on the slide out tray in the Chevy Suburban and pushed it in, closed the doors. It was like, and what makes it so surreal is like it was so monotonous.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like you knew what to do and you've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
It was like it was autopilot. It was straight autopilot all day. So then we drive up this dirt road up into kind of like up on this hill, and me and 3 other men unload my dad, and we put him by this grave. You know, I mean, when I say grave, like, you know, you've been to a funeral, they have like the green little layers and the chairs laid out, and it's got a cute little tent over it. Now, the backhoe that dug this hole was sitting right beside it. And I mean, it's a 6-foot deep pit hole. And they say, there's like, does anyone have anything to say? And I can't remember if anyone was saying something because, dude, I was so hung up on the fact that, like, my dad's about to be lowered into this hole that's just like regular dirt, and like, cause you've never seen something like it.
Was it in a graveyard?
No, it was literally up on this hill with like 6 or 7 other like little graves, headstones and stuff. And you know, this family that owns this land, that does all this, they do it for people that have no money to bury people because they want to give them something. Yeah, and I respect it. I'm full for it. I'm all for it. I respect it. I'll take you there someday. It's actually kind of cool place.
Yeah. Have you been back there since?
Yeah, I have. That kind of ties on in a little bit. But so then they say, all right, we got to lower him in the grave. Like, you guys aren't going to do it? He's like, no. And he starts pulling out this rope, dude. Like, dude, I'm telling you, rope that he went by at like Lowe's to do a home project. And he runs it through these like 4 straps on the casket. And my dad was very big in a pool. And so we put his pool cue on top of the casket, and then it was me and my brother and like 2 other guys, and we lowered my dad into the grave. And they said, all right, if anyone wants to throw a shovel full of dirt on there, they can. I threw one on there, and then I started talking to my brother. I haven't seen him in forever. I haven't seen him like since I was 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, I just got out of rehab. Oh, that's sick, dude. Like, I'm super happy. He's like, yeah, I met this woman, like, she's pregnant with our kid. We both met in rehab. I'm like, that's awesome. This woman's like 10 years older than him.
Oh my gosh.
Which, you know, to everyone their own, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I respect it, but I was like for me, meeting you the first time in like 12 years, 13 years, somewhere around there, is like us burying our dad. You know, it's just kind of like the backseat of the show.
Mm-hmm. So, what I wanted to ask you about is, did you ever have like, not regrets? I don't want to say regrets, but did it ever make you mad that you didn't know him? Did you ever have like a little bit of anger towards him? Were you ever mad at your mom for not really telling you much about him? Like just as far as like, because he died after you were 18, or was it before you were 18?
No, it was after I was 18.
So you could have went and seen him on your own if you would have wanted to. Did you ever make a conscious decision of, no, I don't want to meet him, or yes, I do, but I'm kind of waiting, or how did that?
I was actually planning to track down my dad and find him and talk to him and stuff. Because after 18 years of not really knowing somebody, you're going to have some questions.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're going to be like, all right, well, what the frizz is, we need to have a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the funeral, I had like started kind of trying to gather a loop on things.
Yeah.
Where my dad was, why didn't he see me, all this stuff. And so after talking to my mom was like, Jarrett, I gave him a chance. I'm like, all right, explain. She said she told him to stay clean for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then to call her, because he would call and say, hey, I want to see Jarrett. And Candace had one simple request: stay clean 2 weeks and call me back, and then you can see Jarrett. And he can never do it. Drugs had that much of a grip on his life. Drugs, alcohol, whatever. He couldn't do it to see his own son.
Do you, I know what you're going to say, but I just want to ask it just for anybody listening. Do you think that was cruel of your mom to do, or do you think it was the right decision?
No, I think it was the right decision. I think it was in the best interest of her child.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because if you want my opinion, I'm not gonna let a drug addict around my child.
Yeah,
it's a bad influence. It's just it is the way it is.
And one of the only ways, like, I think your mom did a fantastic job raising you.
Right.
But I think that she knew enough to know that at least until he's an adult or older, I don't know if I want him around that person. And that must have been a very difficult thing for her to do.
Right, absolutely. Because, my mom loved my dad. My mom loved my dad to death.
Mm-hmm.
I remember she telling me the final straw. She came home one day, and my real brother, Chris, was holding me on the porch. I was a baby at the time. I mean, I was like teeny tiny baby. And Chris and me were crying. And my dad was sitting there, and my dad had a hairbrush. And he was combing the skin off of his arm because he thought there was bugs under his skin.
Oh, my God.
He was that cracked out, dude. And so, I don't have any resentment to my mom for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was it. And then he did try to come to one of my football games in high school.
Mm-hmm.
He actually got in the gate, walking to the stands, and he got cold feet, turned around and left. He couldn't do it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That one never really hurt me. I was never really hurt by it just because it was the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
But so about 6 months after that, burying my dad, I went up to the grave to clean it and do a little stuff to it because I know his family wouldn't go up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going up there, and I remember weed eating the grave, cleaning it, all this stuff. And I remember like sitting on the tailgate of the work truck because I was pumping septic tanks at the time. I was dookie slinging. Slinging that dude.
Shout out to Dexter.
Shout out Deck Turd. And I was sitting on the tailgate, and I remember just breaking down. Like, dude, just 18 years of frustration, like questions and stuff just comes out right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm screaming at this grave. I know I'm not going to get an answer, but it was just something that had built up in me that I had to let out.
Yeah.
And so I did it. And I sat up there for like an hour and a half doing that. And I remember like just yelling like, you didn't even love me enough to stay clean 2 weeks.
Mm. And has that, so the one thing, I know you well enough to know that you wouldn't let this totally cripple you. But for some people,
you can't.
But for some people, like, we'll get into your own influences and how you have your own mindset and all that type of stuff. But did you ever like forgive him?
I did.
Even afterwards,
yep.
And how did you come to that conclusion, and what kind of made you be able to do that? Because from my perspective, I've never dealt with anything as serious as this.
Right.
That's happened directly to me. And sorry. But
I'm dying, boss.
Yeah. But I think that everyone, if you haven't heard the cliche, it's a very good cliche or saying.
Do tell.
Forgiveness, not forgiving somebody is like, I'm gonna mess this up.
Oh, come on, don't butcher
It's
it,
like,
dude.
oh gosh, not forgiving somebody is drinking the poison, drinking the poison yourself and hoping the other person dies.
Yep.
That's why I've heard it said before, and especially for younger people, that concept, that forgiveness, and first and foremost too, and I'm sure we'll get into this more later on, but you're a believer, you're a Christian,
Yes, sir.
and I am too, and we believe a lot of the same things, and we've built our relationship on those beliefs and traditions and stuff, and so
Right.
that plays a big role in our lives and in our attitudes and all that, and we'll get into more of that later. But not being able to forgive somebody is crippling, and for you to be able to understand that and forgive him for something that most would see as unforgivable,
Right.
how did you come to that conclusion? How did you work through that yourself? How did you know to even do that or say that or think about it?
You know, after, and you know, there's still a lot I don't know about my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I don't like asking my mom a lot about it because I know it gets to her
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. I'm just kind of picking up the pieces where I can pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
But I've always believed this. What good is it gonna do hating a dead man?
Mm.
What is he gonna do? Is he gonna come back to life and get on his knees and say, "Hey, I'm sorry"? No. You know, it is what it is. It's the past.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot change the past. And I almost am thankful for it.
Yeah.
Actually, I am thankful for it because I wouldn't be who I am today and where I am today if I didn't go through the trial ships
Mm-hmm.
and seeing that plywood box, knowing that my dad was in it and burying it. You know, I mean that's just the bottom line. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people need to do is they need to understand that is like it's a terrible thing happening to you. It's
Mhm.
awful. But if you sit there and pout and moan about it the rest of your life, it's just gonna take a piece of your mind that you don't need taken.
Yeah.
Where you can put that mind to doing something so much better and so much good.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I have forgiven my dad. I don't have any anger, any resentment, nothing to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Did he do terrible things? Yes. Was he a scumbag? Yes, absolutely. But I mean, I can only hope that like he's in heaven and he's getting the help he needs.
Yeah. He's healed.
Right. Correct. And you know, you just that's the thing, man. A lot of people like your attitude towards stuff, bad things, good things. Oh, talk dirty to me, boy. Give me some of that good. Your attitude towards things in this life will determine how much you succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just bottom line.
Yeah.
That is it. Like, even back, like, when I was playing football, dude, like, there's people like, oh, I don't want to win this game tonight. Okay, then I don't want you on my team.
Mm.
That's, I mean, that's just it. I think if we could just teach a younger generation to want to get after it more and wanting to make an impact,
Mm-hmm.
that society will progress 100 times faster than what it's doing right now.
Yeah. So that I think really kind of tells a lot about you and who you are and where you're from, at least a little bit. And I really wanted to go over those things just to show and tell everybody that, like, when they start hearing about you and how you are now and your mindset and all that, they're not like, oh, well, he had X, Y, or Z. And granted, you said it earlier that you do not have the worst lot in life. There's definitely people out there who have it worse, and there's definitely people who have it better too. But we're going to get into the attitude and stuff like that and what that really can do for you and what it's done for you personally and stuff like that. So carry on. I know you kind of had your notes.
I got my cute little list with me.
Yeah.
So we're going to start out with how your lifestyle will set a good grounds, a good foundation
Mm-hmm.
for this stuff. I work my tail off.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line, I wake up and I chase money probably a little bit harder than I should, but that's it. I wake up. I work for this company called East Coast Concrete Pumping. We run heavy equipment. We do cool stuff, and you know, so I wake up in the morning, and I get up and I say, hey, I'm gonna do something great today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do something good that helps others today. and I'm always looking for something that can help others. Not necessarily just myself. Granted, I want to help myself and I want to better myself the best way I can, but help others. And then right behind that, I put, how can I further myself today?
Mm.
How can I find something that's going to increase my knowledge, like intelligence on something? How can I get better at my job? How can I be a positive impact on somebody?
Mm-hmm.
And
Without even them having to ask you,
right,
or using words.
absolutely. You should go everywhere. You should do everything in your day just for the chance for somebody to later be like, man, that was really cool. I wanted to do something like that.
Yeah. You mentioned hard work,
Right.
and I don't think I have a very hard time coming up with something in life that's good that doesn't take hard work to achieve or get or whatever.
Yep.
I think hard work is the bare minimum thing to success, to having a good life. And the thing is, hard work is free. All it takes is effort. And it's a choice. And you can start working hard no matter where you're at in life. And tonight we're kind of focusing / talking more about like the younger generation, 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, high school kids, especially boys and men. And you can start working hard now.
Right.
Like right now.
Absolutely.
You don't need any amount of money. You don't need any other thing to start working hard. And that is huge. And I'm going to tell a story about you.
Oh boy.
Because it is such the perfect picture of the effort that you put in. And I remember I was young, and I had a lot of people who came before me and helped me out. They helped me understand effort. They helped me understand work. I had a great example. My dad was a fantastic example of hard work. And it took me a little bit to actually understand that. I was well out of high school before I really understood what hard work looked like, what it felt like, and what it produced. But I remember one time you had called me and you said, "Hey, I need to make some money, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "All right." So I'm like, I remember I called you back at a later point in time because you would always ask me like, "Hey, if you ever need help at work, let me know. I want to come help you." I think you were in high school.
Yeah.
And my dad one of the things that he taught us, not really that he never even used words. I just saw him do it. That I learned just from watching my own father was, when stuff needs to be done, you get up early. And that he's always done that. And I've woken up, we used to wake up at 3:45 to go to work, 30 minutes down the road, because we had shit to do that day. And so I was very lucky that I had somebody, and my dad at the time was like late 40s. And he had done that for years.
And he was still a stud muffin.
Yeah. Getting up at 3:30 in the morning, going to work. And, we wouldn't always work super long, crazy days.
Right.
But it was strategical. We had stuff to do that day, and early bird gets the worm, and he led by example with that. And so me and my brother, when we were working, him and I, we always got up. We always were at the shop 5 o'clock. That's when we got to the shop, or at least before 5:30. And we were on the job at a bare minimum 6 o'clock every single day. I remember one time, it was like a shitty day. We had to work a Saturday.
Oh.
And I called Jarrett. I said, "Hey, you want to make some money?" And you're like, yeah, I want to work. I want to make money. I'm like, okay, be at my house at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I'm sitting there thinking in my head, and it was kind of a test a little bit. I don't know if I've ever told you that.
Was it really?
Yeah. I'm like, I want to see if this kid will actually show up.
Right.
And I kind of,
keep in mind, I was like 16, 17 at this time.
yeah. And I told, usually me and Dexter, like we have it's like an unwritten rule, kind of like you work on Saturday, you get up like 15 minutes later.
Right.
You go a little bit slower. You might take a little bit longer, sometimes. It's just a more lax day, especially after you've worked a full week. And I'm like, no, that kid's going to be here at 5 a.m. I don't care if I'm laying in bed for another 30 minutes. I want to see if he actually gets here. And I remember I set my alarm for 5. I told you to be here at 5. And everyone knows, if anyone who knows anything about hard work or putting in effort, they know when someone says be here at this time, you get there 10 minutes early.
Absolutely. If you're not 5 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late.
Exactly. And I'm not always great at that, but I do my best. Anyways, I call you up the day before, Friday. Be at my house at 5 a.m. I wake up at 5. I walk out. I look at my front porch. Who's sitting on my front porch? You. You're sitting there. And I'm like, when did you get here? You're like, I got here at 4:45. I'm like, that's right. Nice. I'm like, freaking check one. Like, this kid's getting it. And we go to work. I remember putting in some like front porch columns or something.
Right.
And it's downpouring rain.
Oh, I do remember this. It was pissing. I was in like shorts or something.
Yep. And you're out there busting tail. Me and Dexter are out there busting tail. And we got home, and I remember, what did I tell you, like $50 or $100 or something?
You gave me like $100, I think.
No, what I told you was like 50 or 100. I think I told you like 50 or $100.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And all I remember is Dexter being like, no, we need to double that. He showed up on time. He got here. He worked his butt off. We're giving him double whatever you told him. I can't remember what the amount was,
I
but
can't either.
I remember we gave you double. And not for anyone younger out there listening, it's not that if you show up early and you put in hard effort, you're always going to get more than you asked for.
Right.
But it makes that a possibility, especially if there's somebody who's wanting to help you out. It's like if you put in that effort, it gets noticed. Maybe not every single time, but in that particular time, I was like, this kid deserves way more than what I told him. And so I gave you more than what I told you. And Dexter, I think, chipped in too and gave you extra or whatever. But that was like, at that point in time, like I had known you for a while, and I'd been trying to help you out in little aspects of life, you know, through your high school drama bullshit and listening to
whatever dumb BS I brought to you and said, oh, this is
or whatever it was, some girlfriend stuff.
Yeah.
And then at this point in time, I was like, okay, I want to see if this kid knows how to put effort in, and you did. And I was like, okay. Like, time to give him a little bit more. Time to, like, test him on this thing or give him this knowledge or whatever thing I was learning at the time, I was turning around and giving to you.
Right.
And I want to be like, hey, let's see if this kid can handle it. Let's see if he gets it. And that's, like, it's this really weird unwritten rule. It's like, I want to see if he gets it. And when I say if he gets it, it's like that. It's so hard to put, like, into words, but it's that aspect of, he's going to show up. He's going to bust tail. He's going to get there early. He's going to not be annoying. He's not going to bitch.
Ooh, I'm always annoying. I was annoying, especially back then, dude. Come on, don't even
you
start.
You weren't that bad. But you know what I mean? It's like when a person you're trying to help out, when they get it, and you got it, and you started running away with it. So, carry on.
So, tying back into that, hard work, that really ties into what you were saying about hard work and about how, like, hey, it's not always going to get you more, but it's going to leave that impact.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to impact others. I work in a job where I work with some lazy old men that for some reason are allowed to drive commercial vehicles and pump concrete. And these men look at me, and I go in there and I run circles around them. I'm just going to be straight up. I'm not being cocky about it, but I mean, it's just, I go in and I pump circles. Is it because I'm younger? Probably, yeah, but it's also because a lot of my attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I come in there and I'm saying, hey, I'm going to be the best I can be at this job.
Mm-hmm.
And my bosses see it. I get like a good job like 3 or 4 times a week from other pumpers and stuff, and like the top dogs and the bosses and all those, because and that goes a long way, because in the long run that will progress me a lot further in this job and in this career and in this field.
In any job.
Absolutely.
Because, so here's the thing. I learned this from Jordan Peterson, and what he said, and it made sense to me. It clicked for me. And he said, older people out there, older men, you know, in the workforce or in business, they want to help people out. Like, they want to help you out. They want to give you something, and they're never going to be like, oh, hey, you know, young kid who just started the company, you want to be the CEO? That's not the way things work.
Right.
They don't work like that. You don't go from bottom of the ladder to top of the ladder. But they go, hey, young kid, here's this little task for you. And they're testing you. It's always a test. I want to see how you do this. I want to see the effort you put in. And then when you do that, you take that thing, you knock it out of the park, You do the very best job you can at whatever task it is, and then they're going to give you something a little bit more difficult or with a little bit more responsibility, and you take that and you knock it out of the park. And if you do that for long enough, when the next rung on the ladder opens up, they're like, I already know who's
Yep.
going to fill that spot because
Yep.
he's been putting in the effort over and over and over. And that's how you work your way up. That's how you make more money. That's how you get to those positions of, I don't want to say positions of power, but you work your way up a company.
Positions of progression.
Yeah.
And you have to have that attitude like that every day of your life. This is not something that you can just turn on or off whenever you want. You have to wake up and say, hey, I want to be the best version of me I can in my career, in my friend's life, in my family's life, in everyday life, in society. I want to help progress everyone around me and progress myself. And that's how you have to look at it. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck in that bottom of the barrel spot that everybody goes,
woe is me.
Yeah. That's like, oh, look who it is. It's just Jarrett. I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I want to be, hey, that's Jarrett. That's that guy that works hard, busts after it. You know, he's good to people. He helps people. He does all that stuff. And I don't do it looking for a thank you. I do it because I know it's going to help them and it's going to help me.
And it's right.
Right.
So I want to talk a little bit too about, because you've had a couple different jobs.
Oh yeah, I've been around the world.
Yeah. And I want to talk about your mindset, this kind of hardworking mindset, and compare it to that of your peers, for the past couple of years.
Right.
And what that's looked like, and some of the pushback that you may or may not have received from people of your age and stuff like that.
Right. Well, it started. I didn't really get into the workforce until I was working at Lowe's, running that forklift. I was the best forklift certified man there was ever. But I always said like, hey, I want to like make more money. I was making $11.30 when I got out of high school.
That is a huge thing too.
Right.
Any young kid out there, this isn't like, because you have a great job now.
Oh yeah, I love my job.
You have your CDL and all that. This hard work stuff, it didn't start when you got this job. It started when you got your first job.
Right.
So anyways, carry on.
And I went into Lowe's and I was working in lawn and garden. And boy, did we have summers, man. Everybody knows about the mulch sales and all this stuff. There was a line out there of cars, and you would sit at those mulch pallets, and you would throw 45-pound bags of mulch for 8 hours a day. And that was your job. And I was the first one to that line every stinking day because I knew the bosses were watching, and I knew they were going to see for hard work. It got me my forklift operator's license. It got me like certified on everything in the store. People would call me to come run equipment, because the bosses knew that I would work hard and I would excel. Because I showed up and I did the dirty work that nobody wants to do.
Yeah. Because
it's work. That's what it is. Then I was brought along a job offer. You already know what I'm talking about, dookie slanging. I was offered a job by SC Septic to go pump septic tanks. If anybody knows what a septic tank is, you poop, it goes down your toilet, and it goes into this big tank in the yard called a septic tank. And that's where all your crap goes.
And they need to be cleaned out once every...
like 3 years, 3 or 5 years. And so I was like, man, do I not want to go sling dookies.
Not a glamorous job at all.
Not what I want to do at all. And then he said, hey, I'll get you your CDL and you can drive big rigs. I'm in. That's all you had to say.
Well, looking at it in the grand scheme of things, you're like, hey, this isn't where I want to be forever. But this is a way of, because you kind of decided that you wanted to get your CDL and stuff like that.
Right.
And this was your way of saying, hey, this isn't the most glamorous job in the world, but it gets me further down the road of where I want to be.
It was my chance.
Yep.
It was my chance for progression.
Yep.
And I ended up taking it. Keep in mind, I was in college at the same time, and I ended up dropping out of college. I passed my semester. I did my one semester, and I said, this isn't for me, and I went full-time workforce. So then I was offered to go be a laborer on septic. I'd bumped up to $14 an hour. I was a laborer. All I did was ride in the pump truck, and I dug holes. And I just dug them and dug them and dug them and then pumped. And then it got to the point where my boss would sit in the pump truck and I'd run everything. And he would just drive, and that was it. And he said, all right, I want to get you your CDL. I said, okay. So I went and I got my learner's permit for my CDL, and I started driving, and it was a manual truck. And boy, did I not know how to drive manual. I mean, I did not. I remember we were sitting in downtown Spartanburg when I first got it, and I stalled that sucker. I plumb out in the middle of an intersection, and we just sat through 2 light changes.
Yeah, so it's not like you were great at everything.
No, you
either.
I was not good at it. It took me a while to get good at it. But I said, hey, this is a challenge. I don't know how to drive stick. This is a challenge. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to become good at it.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, if you do know how to driving stick on like a big rig
is way different.
Way different.
The transmissions are geared way lower and all that stuff. So even still, I didn't even know how to drive a car transmission. That was a manual. So it was still new to me. And 6 months later, after practicing on the truck, it came time. And so when you get your CDL, you have something called a pre-trip inspection. Literally, you have to go and name everything through the truck and make sure it's not broken in under 45 minutes. And that's your test. And I had practiced countless times.
And you studied too.
I studied. I had a book. I had everything. I studied countless times, went after it countless times.
And so real quick, like a lot of people think like, oh, hey, I didn't want to continue my college. I want to go into the workforce.
Right.
And they think, oh, no more effort, no more trying hard. This is easy.
Nope.
And that's not the case.
Nope, not at all. And I went and I failed my test 2 times, all in the pre-trip inspection, which is the hardest part of the test. The lady really should have failed me on my 3rd time, but I think she felt bad for me, and she passed me, and then I passed all the driving section and stuff. So then there I am. I'm sitting there. I have my CDL. I've done it. I've conquered that challenge. And so my boss was like, hey, I'm going to ride with you for a month. Make sure you have everything down. We're going to be at $17 an hour. Cool. Sick. The next day I went out by myself. I had no idea what I'm doing, because it becomes more at that point, more than just digging a hole and throwing a hose in.
Yep.
You're filling out paperwork. You're filling out DOT paperwork. You're filling out DHEC paperwork. You have to take samples of the crap that you're putting into the dump. You have to go to the dump. You have to do all these things. And I had no idea how to do it. But I figured it out.
Yeah.
Because that was the only choice I was given.
Yep.
When you are pushed into a corner in life, which you will always be pushed into a corner.
Yep.
There will always be challenges in this life that you don't know what to do. But you can either sit there and you can say, I'm going to fight through it and I'm going to learn through it, or I'm going to sit and I'm going to pout about it and give up.
Yep.
And
it's hard.
It is. It is very hard. But I knew that if I wanted to get far in life, I can't let this beat my tail. I can't let these challenges beat my tail. Now, does that to say that like you're not going to fail at something? You're not going to do wrong on something? You're not going to pass this test with the best grade? You might fail this test. You might
mess something up.
Right. You might break something. You might ruin something. It happens. It's part of learning. But get back up and do it again. And that's what you have to do. And that all stems from attitude.
What real quick, what is the timeline for you starting at the septic company and trying to get your CDL, and then finally getting your CDL in that first day on your own? What's the timeline?
7 months.
7 months. So it wasn't 2 weeks.
It wasn't 2 weeks, but it also wasn't 2 years.
Yep.
And that's because I put my mind to it.
Yep.
And I didn't have I was going to get it. I was going to get that CDL, and I was going to hold that CDL no matter what. And
real quick, going back to the hard work thing, your boss wanting, giving you these opportunities and having you take them, you could have been a shit worker, and he would have been like, yeah, you can just be a laborer for 3 or 4 more years before I allow you to go off and drive my truck that is not cheap.
Nope.
But you passed all his shit tests.
Yep.
And you worked hard, and you showed him that, hey, even though I'm 18, 19 years old, I can do this, and I want this.
And dude, there was days I remember I got covered head to toe in shit one day. In my mouth, I threw up in this lady's yard. Like, I had a hose blow off the back end of the truck, and it covered me head to toe, like in my mouth. So then out of this is just a funny story to add in there. Yeah. I threw up in this lady's front yard. I'm covered in shit, dude. I mean, crap all over me.
I remember you calling me.
And I called Dallas. Like, dude, I was raising Cain, son. I was raising Cain when I called Dallas, and I walked up to this lady's door covered in crap, son. She opens the door, and I can just see her face. She's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, ma'am, I have to strip down in your yard and wash my clothes. And she was like, that, okay. I stripped down to my underwear in this lady's yard. I had no spare clothes in the truck. I sprayed it all off, wrung them out.
That's another lesson learned too.
Yeah, bring spare clothes to work. I threw them back on, dude, soaking wet, packed up, called Dale, and I said, hey, I'm going home, man. Why? Dude, I can't do it the rest of the day. I got covered in crap. Hose blew up on me. All right, go home, get washed up. We'll see you tomorrow. And that was it. and that's what I'm saying. You have days, dude. Nobody wants to be covered in crap, especially that crap. Especially crap that's been sitting in a tank for 6-7 years.
Oh, man.
Oh, dude.
That's bad.
So I got thrown into this challenge. I've been thrown into all these challenges up to this point, and I have my CDL, and I got another one. I had no teacher, no nothing. And I figured it out because that's all I had to do. So then I did that for 4 months, and I was approached with an opportunity to go and run a dump truck, 13-speed manual dump truck. I've never driven a 13-speed manual, and I went in there. I'll admit it, I went in there cocky. I said, I can drive anything. Went in there, dude, and
full of piss and vinegar.
And I didn't know how to drive a 13-speed, and so they stuck me on a grading crew. It was for a grading company. They knew I couldn't drive a dump. They said I couldn't drive a dump truck, so they put me on a grading crew. And I worked on this grading crew for a month, and I just hated it, man. And it's not to say that I didn't go in there and I didn't work hard or anything, but you have to pick and choose your battles. Mm-hmm. You have to pick and choose what's worth it. Is it worth it to me to sit at this grading company and bust my tail on this grading crew for 4 years when I know I could go somewhere else because I have a CDL and use my CDL? No, it's not. So I ended up leaving, and I went to this place called Metricon running concrete mixers. And they stuck me bottom of the barrel. I knew nothing about concrete. I'd swore to myself in high school, too, because I knew all the fins. If anybody knows all the fins in Greer, South Carolina and stuff, everybody knows they're in concrete. They all do concrete. And I said, I am never going to do concrete. This place ended up just being like a minute from my house. I lived a minute from there, so my commute was nothing. And it was driving trucks. And I love driving trucks, so I was like, I'm going to do it. I knew nothing about concrete. Absolutely nothing.
And now you're a concrete mixer driver.
I'm a pump operator.
Pump
Now, as of right now, I'm a pump operator, but I was a mixer driver.
You were at this time.
At this time, I was a mixer driver. This was about 2021 that I started this, and I started running a mixer. And about 2 months into it, and I had a very gruesome accident involving my index finger.
Yeah. Show everybody.
So
you gotta hold it up close to that camera. That's fully extended. That's your full range of motion right there. Show everyone the scar. I don't know if it will. Oh, yeah, you can see that. That thing is gruesome.
So me being the very intelligent person I am, a concrete mixer drum has big moving blades because the drum always spins. Mm-hmm. And I was messing with this metal water adder that comes down, and my hand got caught in between the metal water adder and the blade. And so what it did is it broke my finger right in the middle all the way through. And out of it breaking, out of reaction of it breaking, I ripped back, and the metal blade just degloved the whole finger. And oh man, it was rough. And we were riding to the hospital, and I remember Ezra Aho was driving me to the hospital. And he is giving me this rant on how not to get addicted to the drugs that they give you and stuff. And he is just going off. And I remember looking at Ezra and going, this isn't the effing time, Ezra. And so he drops me to the hospital. I'm fully convinced they're going to cut off my finger. At this point, I'm like, I'm losing this finger. This is going to be so cool.
It's going to be so
I
cool.
was like, it's going to be so cool. I'm going to have 9 fingers. But they didn't. They stitched it up. I had to get 14 stitches in my finger. And now I just have a messed up finger that I can poke people with, and they get disgusted by it, and it's hilarious.
The other thing too, another hardship, difficulty, mistakes you learn, and now this mistake costs real blood. Yeah,
I had blood, sweat, and tears in that concrete wherever we were pouring at. My blood is in it. But you know, it was a challenge. I was out of work for 3 days, and then I went back, and I said, "This ain't gonna affect me.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I was in a splint for like 8 weeks or something in my finger. I couldn't really use my right hand. And I somehow convinced Metricon to let me come back and drive a concrete mixer when I really couldn't use my right hand at all. And so I went back and I was like, dude, I'm going to be the best concrete driver at this plant.
Mm-hmm.
And we have things called a yardage bonus, where if you run the most yards, you get a bonus. And I said, I want that. So I started working on ways to become faster. A good way to increase your impact on others is efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Be efficient in life. Find ways to cut time down, because the more time you make of your day, the more time you can spend either helping yourself or helping others.
Yep.
So like increasing yourself. So like, let's say you find a way to be efficient with something, you've cut like maybe like 15 more minutes into your day. That's 15 more minutes you could read the Bible or read a book.
Yep. Listen to a podcast.
Yep.
Talk to somebody you haven't talked to in a while.
Absolutely. And so I became the fastest mixer driver there.
At what age?
At 20 years old, I was the fastest mixer driver
Out of how many?
out of 50 employees.
That's pretty damn good.
For three plants, it was 35 other trucks.
And you were the fastest.
And I was the fastest, and
20
I ran the most yards, and I outperformed.
Mm-hmm.
Mixers that got boring. I wanted to go run boom pump, so I went and applied for a job at East Coast Concrete Pumping, and that's where I'm at now. Been there 3 months. I love it. Wouldn't trade it for the world. And I still come in every day, and I say, how am I going to become the fastest, best operator here?
Mm-hmm. And just to backtrack just a tiny bit,
Okay.
just for an example of what putting in max effort looks like and what max efficiency looks like. Now, I don't know a ton about the concrete world, but I know a little bit. You know some. And I don't think I've ever really seen a concrete mixer driver get out of his truck and help. And that is something that I have heard and you have showed me that you do or have done while you were doing that job. So, like, what exactly would you do?
So, you pour concrete on the ground, and let's say you're doing a driveway, you're pouring it out of the truck, put it to grade the best you can.
And your job specifically is to show up,
get concrete A to B and on the ground.
Yep. That's it.
That's your job title.
Mm-hmm. And then go back to the plant and get more in your truck.
Yep. But let's say I show up and I had a 10-yard truck. Let's say you show up, you put 8 yards on the ground, and they have to screed it, catch up all this stuff, like grade it out and all this. What's going to help make it faster?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be faster for me to sit there and sit on my phone while they screed, or is it going to be faster for me to get out and grab a rake and help them screed?
Yep. And that
is taking that extra mile, that extra step.
And then what that also does is once you do that enough times, it lets the people who you're bringing the concrete to,
right?
It lets them know that they know you. They know that if they need something, they can rely on you, and it puts you in good standing with them.
Right.
And then when they're making the call and they hear, oh, Jarrett's coming to you guys, he's coming with the concrete, they're like, yes, I'm glad he's coming.
Right.
And it puts you in good rapport with everyone in that community.
Right.
And for any type of, because here's the thing, you never know what's going to come in the future. You never know what things are going to come down the pipeline for you. And I think everyone kind of knocks on your reputation.
There you go.
And stuff. Sorry. And stuff like that. So the better reputation you have in the workforce, in the community, the more pull you have too. And when you're young, and we'll just break all that down to just bare bones respect. You don't have respect when you're a young kid. You just don't. You're a turd. And especially in the workforce, you have to prove yourself. That's the way it works. And that's how men typically are. You need respect to move in this world.
Right.
And by lowering yourself to, hey, I know that this is what my job is, what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to go the extra mile, get out of my truck, put mud boots on. Actually, I think you just wear mud boots.
Yeah, I just wore mud boots.
And you'd go in and then help the guys pour out the job.
Yep.
And that's going above and beyond. And so that's what it takes sometimes to do this hard work,
Right.
to be that person, to go the extra mile. And sometimes it sucks. It ain't fun.
No, absolutely not. But it also, it ties into, let's go back to building on to a reputation with people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about relationships
Yep.
and friendships.
Yep.
What is your circle saying about you, and what is their attitude towards life?
Oh.
So, let's say you have a group of friends.
Yep.
Let's say you have a couple group of friends. Some people have a couple groups of friends. They have
different friend groups.
different friend groups, but they're friends with everybody.
Yep.
Let's say one group is, like a men's group. You guys come together, you have a good time, you laugh, you cut up, you talk about work, but you also pour into each other's lives, like advice, ways to help out. You're there at the ready to help. You are there to help them. Let's say like one of them calls like, hey, my car just broke down. You're there.
Yep.
You're there helping them out. Let's say you have another friend group that goes out, parties, drinks, all this stuff. And if you called them and said, hey, I need your help, they'd probably be like, well, I can't right now.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Let's say you have those two friend group. What is Group A's attitude towards life, and what is Group B's attitude towards life? Group B might be waking up, and this is all just assumption.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing, that I know, or I'm not these other people. I don't know what they think. I don't know what they go through. But from the outside looking in, because you can only see from the outside, let's say it looks like these people just don't care.
Yep.
They're getting up, they're going to their job. Oh, I hate my job. Like, nobody cares about me. And then they come home and they just sit on the couch and they do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go out and they get slosh drunk or high or whatever they do. And they just party for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end. What is partying for hours on end? Granted, go out, have a good time.
Yeah. Like you do need to have fun in life.
You need to have fun.
You are only young once.
Right.
You should enjoy yourself.
But what is partying for hours? How is that bettering you?
It's not.
Are you learning anything?
No.
Granted, I was never really big into the party scene. I never really got big into drinking or anything.
One of my things on this topic was, I remember you telling me, you were working like 7 days a week, because even while you were pumping concrete, you were still on the weekends
I was pumping septic tanks
on the weekends.
Yep.
So you were working pretty much 7 days a week.
Yes, sir.
And I remember you telling me that some of your friends were kind of like, oh, why are you doing that? Why is that even necessary? And then you told me, like, you're looking at them like, they're just going out and wasting their money, wasting their time on the weekends, going out and drinking and partying. And it's like, what does that do for me? And I was like, damn, this kid gets it. He gets it. Because it took me a long time to learn
Right.
that. It was, for me growing up, like when I was around your age, that, early 20s, late teenage years, I was working, and it was always like, Friday, now I can go and piss off and do whatever I want.
Right.
And there was no like understanding of mindset and what I could achieve and what needs to be done to achieve those things. And so sometimes I think this is a huge topic to kind of talk about, or at least something to get across, is your friends, they're going to look at you doing something good and they're going to criticize you. And
ooh, that's good.
you're going to, and anyway, I'll just use the work thing, for example. You're busting tail, you're making money, you're saving money, you're doing a great thing. You're working hard, you're learning discipline, all these things. And then your close friends are then criticizing you. And I remember telling you, like, look, they're criticizing you because they know that they are not doing that. And it's easier for them to criticize you working hard and working through your whole weekend. And they're thinking in their head, man, this kid, he's getting after it. And I'm sitting partying on the weekend, not doing shit, not even working hard in my regular 9-to-5 job. And this kid's doing 80, 90 hours a week. And what's easier to do? Is it easier for them to work 80, 90 hours a week, or is it easier for them to try and pull you down to their level? It's easier for them to just try and pull you down to their level. So that's what they're going to do. And once you get those people in your life, or if you have those people in your life, I'm not saying cut ties and don't be friends with them no more, but I would, at a bare minimum, start to limit their influence on you and limit your time with those people, because they're always going to do that. Friends, real friends, are people who pick you up. And Jordan Peterson said this, and I'll hold on to this till the day that I die. Friends are people who, when you make a win in life, they're happy for you.
Absolutely.
And when you have something bad happen to you, they're right there with you also.
Yep.
So they're there and they're cheering for you in the bad, and they're there cheering for you in the good. And they're not trying to criticize you. They're not trying to pull you down. And I've been that person. The reason why that clicked so much with me is because I remember a friend, getting a new truck or a new car or whatever. And, they got a Mustang, right? Oh, hey, and they're excited about that Mustang. Like, they're pumped. Yep. They busted their butt. They worked. They saved their money.
Yep.
They went out and bought, the car that they wanted. And I'm sitting there, and I remember I can't remember what type of car it was or truck or whatever. And they got this really cool thing. And I was like, man, I'm not driving something that cool. And I remember instantly being like, oh, Fords suck. Why would you ever buy a Ford? That thing's so stupid. It doesn't even have a lot of horsepower. Like, just totally dragging the kid. And he's all pumped up. Like, he's all pumped up, excited. Like, and he had the mind of, hey, I'm so happy about this. I'm going to bring this to my friend because I want to share this excitement with him. And all I did was just shit on his freaking parade. And it's like, that is not being a friend.
No.
And it takes time, but you have to start like weeding through the people who you spend time with and weeding people like that out. Yeah. Because it's only going to be a drag.
Right.
And that's one thing that you want good people around you in life. That's huge, especially while you're young.
Absolutely. And, I had that same experience when I bought my truck. Because I was thinking, I bought a 2-wheel drive Dodge Ram. And everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people were like, oh, man, you need a 2-wheel drive truck. Dude, we live in Greer, South Carolina. We're not going to need a 4-wheel drive truck. But,
at least at this point, you're 21 years old.
I'm 21. I busted my butt.
You don't need some, $80,000 truck.
Nope.
You did buy a nice truck. It runs. Yep. It's new. It's a 1500 Ram.
Yep.
It's a good truck. Okay, so it's not 4-wheel drive, but it's still a decent truck.
Right.
And it gets you where you need to go, does what you need to do for now. And this ain't your, I'm going to keep this truck for 50 years things, because I know you got goals.
Oh, yeah.
And you have plans, but it's better than what you had before.
Yep.
You had the
Kia.
Okay. You have what year's your truck?
My truck's a 2017.
So it's newer. It's pretty new. And if anyone knows, trucks aren't cheap.
Nope.
And used vehicles, as far as right now, are not cheap also.
No, absolutely not.
And beforehand, you were driving I
had a 2006 Kia Optima that had been wrecked like 3 times.
Yeah.
My mom bought it. She wrecked it. I bought it from her. I wrecked it like 4 times. We ended up, actually will tie into what I want to talk about next, which is materialism. And this was good because we were talking about this comparison to others.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as materialism goes, you need to have hobbies in life.
Yeah.
You need to find something that you enjoy that can be a good little free time for you that you also want to be good at.
Yep.
Over the past year, I found jet skis. I buy vintage jet skis and I rebuild them, and we go to the lake and we rip on the lake all day and then go home. So when I had my 2006 Kia Optima, I didn't want to buy a new truck. I didn't want to go buy a new truck. I didn't want to do it. I had sold my truck. My red truck crapped out on me, and I had only my Kia. I said, I got to figure out a way to get my jet ski to the lake. Me and Dallas's father-in-law had put a tow hitch on this 2006 Kia Optima, like welded it to the bumper or whatever we did, and it would tow my jet ski to the lake. And this thing was so beat because I remember, like 3-4 weeks before I got rid of it, before I like finally came and went and bought a truck, both rear calipers of the Kia had blown off the back end of it. And like I lost all brake pressure. I had no brake pressure. You had to put the pedal to the floor to get it to stop, and only had front brakes. But I was happy with it.
Mm.
It ran, it drove, it got me A to B.
It did what you needed to do.
It did what it needed to do. And so when today I see a lot of people with attitudes that have to compare themselves to others and what others have. there's a lot of people in the concrete world that have $80,000 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
$80,000 trucks on wheels, tires, all this stuff. Why? If it makes you happy, dude, do it.
Yeah, if that's your thing and you can afford it,
Yep, go for it.
and you're
I'm
doing
all
it-
for it.
and I'm all for it. If that's what you want because you want it,
Right.
sweet.
But when I see these people, oh man, I don't have an $80,000 truck with wheels and tires and all this stuff. Okay. What do you have? You have a vehicle that runs and drives and gets you A to B.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get there. Set goals. If you want that $80,000 truck, set a goal, save money, buy it.
Yeah.
That's it. And it kind of irks me because I see these people like trying to compare themselves to other like celebrities and stuff like, and it's really bad now with social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's become so much worse the more like social media has become part of our lives because everybody posts their accomplishments, which is good. I'm all for it. Post your accomplishments. But when you crap on others because you don't have those accomplishments, tying kind of back into what we were talking about earlier, when you crap on others like for accomplishments you don't have, like, oh, I didn't buy a house at a certain age, I didn't buy a brand new vehicle at a certain age, I didn't save this much money by a certain age. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We all get there. We have our whole lives to get there. I am 21 years old. I have 39 years left of working guaranteed in me.
Mm-hmm.
If God lets me live that long.
Yeah.
I have 39 years left. I've only been working 3 years and I'm already there. It comes with time. So like if there's anything I can stress to anyone more than anything, be patient.
Yeah. That's huge.
You have to be patient,
Keep going. Keep going.
but you have to work hard too.
Yep.
It does not come overnight. It does not come over the course of a year. Have short-term goals, have long-term goals.
And another thing that I've always noticed about you is I remember when you first kind of figured out that you wanted to get your CDL. Before you were even like on the road to like getting it or studying for the test, you knew everything about trucks. You knew what the test was like. You knew like all this, you had all this knowledge and information like way beforehand.
Right.
And even like right now, like you just started this new job, pumping concrete, what exactly is your job title? Exactly.
Concrete boom pump operator.
Okay. Concrete boom
Pump
pump.
daddy.
You've worked there for 3 months.
Correct.
Just from, I haven't seen you much lately, but I
Right.
know for a fact that you know what every single truck, and you know all the specifics of all the trucks on the yard. You know
Yep.
your truck in and out. You know your job title in and out. You have all this knowledge already. So if I was to ask you right now, and because I know this because you've told me, you're on the smallest boom truck, correct?
32 meter.
Okay.
On our yard, at least.
Yep. You're on the smallest one. I know for 100% certainty that if I was like, what trunk, if you were to be moved up, because kind of like the bigger trucks, the bigger booms are the more difficult ones to run, so the more experienced people run the bigger ones. If I was to ask you right now, what is the biggest truck on the yard and what truck would you move to next? You don't have to tell me, but I know that you already know that.
Right.
You already have that information. And that's something that is huge too. And like, if you want a $80,000 truck, if that's like what your goal is, know what the financing looks like.
Yep.
Know how much the down payment is.
Yep.
Know whatever information you might need to know that stuff, or go down that path of realizing if that's a goal for you. If it's buying a house, go and talk to somebody who's bought a house. Figure out what you need for a down payment. Figure out whatever things that you need to do. Figure out how much the average mortgage cost is going to be for that house. Do the research. Figure the stuff out so that when you embark on that goal, you take the first step in it, you at least have some previous knowledge of what's coming. If you want to go to college, if you're in high school right now and you're a high school kid,
Yep.
and you want to go to college, know what school you're going to, know what GPA you need to have, know what classes you're going to be taking, have the plan, have a rough plan kind of set up, ready to go, so that when the time comes, you at least have some prior knowledge of what you're getting yourself into, what things are going to look like. And kind of going back to the whole like material thing is, yeah, like our in this day, in our culture, it is ridiculous the amount of stuff that gets pushed onto us through social media, TV, all that type of
Absolutely.
stuff. And I think it's crippling. And
Oh yeah.
I will be the first person to say it's not wrong to have nice things. There's totally fine. I have right now a pair of shorts on. They cost like $65. And I love them. I pay the money for them. I work hard for that money. And I like these shorts and I wear them all the time. Now, I don't flaunt that at all. I don't
Right.
go out telling people, I'm not posting pictures because that's not really me.
Yeah.
But it's less about how much I spend on them and less about the brand and more about this is the thing that I enjoy. This is the thing that I like. So I'm going to spend money on it. I used to work out a lot. So I would buy the stuff, the gear, the equipment, or whatever you say, whatever you need for that. And I'm like, these shorts work the best for me. I like the way they fit. I like the way they feel. And I work out in my garage. No one sees me ever working out. So I'm not trying to impress nobody.
You don't know where I have cameras.
You better watch out.
You're bugged, buddy.
But it doesn't matter to me. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's not. It's like I buy them because of their function, because I like them, not
Yep.
because someone else likes them. You know, maybe if my wife likes them and she says I look good, then that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But I'll spend money on something if I know that I'm going to use it. I spent money on my computer, and there's a lot of people that I've talked to in the past, like, you know, computers, like, oh, that stuff's so stupid. Why would you spend that much money? And it's like, because I worked hard and I bought this. I didn't go into debt to buy this computer.
Yeah.
I built it myself because this is the things that I'm into. There's reasoning, you know, there's reasons for why I do what I do, why I spend money on the material things that I do. And I think there's a lot of kids out there that are like, oh, I just want X thing because X person has it. And
Or
even if
X thing is popular.
Yep. And it has nothing to do with like, oh, I actually like this. And like for young people out there, be honest with yourself.
Yep.
Real like if there's a pair of shoes out there or if there's whatever thing it is, be honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I buying this for me? Am I getting this because I really want this? Or am I getting this because I saw on social media? And there's nothing wrong with seeing marketing on social media and wanting whatever it is, but really be honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I getting this for me or am I getting this for somebody else to impress somebody else? You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's huge. And I don't see kids getting any better.
No.
And so what I wanted to ask you
Okay.
is if you were to take and we'll stick to boys, guys. If you were to take,
Okay.
you know, to mentor a 16-year-old kid and kind of map out his next, you know, 5 to 10 years,
Yep.
what would that look like for you? How would you try and help this kid out? How would you try and
That's good, dude.
push him? Like, what would if he listened to you? Because that's
Right.
that's the wild card right there. Is if the person you're talking to is actually going to listen.
Yeah.
But if you had the ability to help this person out, to talk to this person, and help this kid out, what plan would you give them? What would you tell them? What advice? What goals would you give them to shoot for?
The first thing I would tell them is wake up every day looking to improve yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would tell them right after that, wake up every day looking for a way to improve society and
Yeah.
those around you. One of the biggest things is be kind.
Yeah.
Be kind to people, man. Some people don't deserve it. Some people are in rough situations. Some people have been handed a crappy card, and sometimes they just need somebody being nice to them, telling them, "Hey, how are you doing? How's your day?" Be kind to people. Be willing to help people, and be willing to learn.
Yep.
That's one thing you really taught me was be willing to learn. Keep your ears open and keep your mind on.
Yep.
This thing is the best tool you can have.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Your brain. So always use that. Like, you need to try to learn something new.
So attitude would be your big kind of starting ground.
Right.
Just the attitude that you have. And again, you can start that this second.
Yep. Attitude. Your attitude costs nothing. It costs nothing to be a good person. It costs nothing to have a good attitude. It costs nothing to wake up every day and say, "Hey, I am gonna do well, and I'm gonna teach others how to do well.
Yeah. I think I would start off with hard work.
Right.
I think trying, and that's if you're 16 years old, I'm telling you right now, the way the world is set up, the way our culture is set up, it is going to be so difficult for you to work hard because you have so many ways, so many things coming at you that tell you not to.
Yes.
Um, I love video games. I love games. I play games myself, but that it's a distraction. Social media, cell phones, um, other stupid things. I don't even know what kids really do nowadays, but you have so many distractions that distract you from putting an effort that make it easy for you to procrastinate. And I am that person. I procrastinate. I've done it my whole life. I'm doing my very best to get better at it. But if you're like a 16-year-old kid, 16, 17, 18, you're kind of in school, I would say you have to start off if you can do anything at all to get this hard work thing going, start waking up 30 minutes earlier.
That is good.
Waking up 30 minutes earlier and just start getting your life in order and controlling the things that you are able to control. You can control the cleanliness of your room. You can control your schedule to an extent, you know.
There we go.
Jocko.
I know.
You can control, you know, if you own a vehicle, you can control the maintenance on that. You can control the cleanliness of your vehicle,
Right.
your homework, your schoolwork. Get those things done. Start like teaching yourself that if I want to go and do X, play, have fun with my friends, play video games, hang out, whatever, make the habit of getting the things that need to be done as soon as possible.
Right.
Right after that, because and I agree with you, attitude is massive.
Absolutely.
It is massive. And I would be doing the non-physical things, the attitude stuff, and at the same time doing the physical things and trying to join them together. So the attitude, waking up early, and the next thing would definitely be some sort of physical exercise, walking, running. It doesn't even, I like lifting weights, but that's me. It can literally be walking, whatever it is. There's any type of physical exercise that you do daily. You're young, you can do it daily.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of where I would start. And that's kind of like, you know, high school kids, 16, 17, 18. And then the third thing I'd say, if you're in that younger category, find somebody who's ahead of you that you know is a good, solid man. Not a boy.
There you go.
A man. And that might be your father. That might be an older brother. That might be an uncle or a cousin. But find somebody who is a man. And I'll tell you what a man is right now.
And it could be anybody. Because I mean, if you look at my situation, dude, I grew up with none of those things that you just listed.
Yeah.
I had Dallas, this guy that was dating my cousin. And
Yeah, it can be anybody. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you can't be picky and choosy.
Right.
But find somebody who is ahead of you that can shed some light on the path that you're going to be walking down. And that's massive. I had so many people in my life who really taught me a lot of things so I didn't have to learn them the hard way. And that is so invaluable to me. So that's massive. So your attitude, right after attitude, I'd say getting up early, discipline, getting your stuff in order, controlling the things that you can control, and then finding somebody who you'll listen to, who is a mentor, who can shed some light on you. So that's what I would say. Would you agree that that's kind of like that first, 16, 17, somewhere?
It's a very good foundation to build on.
Yeah.
Yeah, just best I can say is just look for someone that you know is a man. But I think also too, you need to give a definition of a man. What would you say a man is? That's an awful question. I know.
It's hard because if I'm being 1,000,000% honest, I am not fully a man yet either.
Absolutely. I
And
am not. I'm the same way.
I'm working
Not
towards
absolutely that you're not a man. You're a man to me, but I mean that was rude. But you know what I mean.
no, not at all. I am on the path.
Okay.
I can say that I am on the path of becoming a good man.
Yeah.
I'm knocking down those walls. I'm doing my best. But I would say a man. Ooh, this is a very difficult question.
It is a very tough question.
I'd say a man. If you're a man, you have to be able to work hard. And I'm not saying it has to be out there in the mud swinging a hammer.
It could be mentally as well.
You can be at home, typing on the computer, but you have to work hard. Men work hard.
Yep.
To be a man, you have to be strong. Physically, I
Yeah.
think you have to be
No, yeah.
some sort of, and I'm not saying you have to be able to deadlift 500 pounds or anything like that, but you have to be strong. You can't be weak. And then your mindset is, oh my God. I mean, I could go on for
Gotta be
hours.
strong, man.
You got to have a good mindset.
We would have to have a whole nother
Yeah.
podcast on mindset.
Yeah. And this is what we're kind of trying to create is we're trying to figure out what is a good man, what makes a good man. That's partly what this whole podcast is about.
Right.
And we don't have it figured out. None of us really do.
No.
But we're working through life and we're asking the questions and we're conversing with each other, trying to figure these things out, what it looks like to be a good man. And working hard, I'm going to leave it at that. Working hard, physically strong, and mentally strong. And I would say honest.
Yeah. You need to be honest.
I think that
Honest
makes
with
a good
yourself
man.
and honest with others.
Yep.
And trust me, people are not going to like what you have to say.
Nope.
You will lose friends over honesty.
Yep.
That is the way it works. But you will look back in 5-10 years or even 2 weeks, 3 months, and you'll say, "Man, I'm glad I said what I said because if
Yep.
I let that sit and simmer in me, ooh,
Yeah, it boils up.
it will kill you if
Oh,
you
yeah.
if you let stuff sit and it's not like." And when we say honesty, we don't mean like, "Hey, I don't like your shirt," kind of thing. Like we don't mean like something small. We mean like how you feel and how you express yourself, how someone makes you feel
Mm-hmm.
about them and stuff, especially in relationships, which again, that'd have to be another
Oh, yeah.
podcast on relationships and stuff and what a good relationship looks like. But because I don't think anyone knows what a good relationship is.
For any younger guys too, and even middle, I think any guy who's
Right.
looking to improve themselves, figure out, again, go to somebody who's ahead of you in life and ask questions. Ask. That is one thing that I loved you so much about. I love so much about you is you'd come to me and you would ask questions, and a lot of the times I didn't know the answer. I had to then go and ask somebody else, or I had already previously asked somebody or tracked down at least a little bit of an answer to whatever question you had given me. And so then I could then pass that on to you. But asking questions, ask your mentors, the men ahead of you, the men you have in your life, whoever it may be, ask them questions. And then also go and try to figure some stuff out on your own. Be able to read, listen. I spent a lot of time when I was in my younger 20s. I pretty much took, I grew up as a Christian. I've always been a Christian. I've always believed. And not that I ever disbelieved, but there was a point in my life where I took everything that I had believed because someone else told me, and I took it and I just put it aside for a second. And again, I didn't ever disbelieve, but I wanted to go and learn who I was in Christ. I wanted to go and read the Bible verses myself and figure out what they meant to me and figure out how God and our relationship was for me, because I had left my father and mother. I wasn't in their house anymore. I had to become me. I had to become who God created me to be. And to do that,
And you were living in Charleston at that time too, man. That was
Yeah.
back.
that was a while ago.
Dude, I remember going down there. You didn't have two pieces of bread to rub together.
that was difficult.
And that's what helps build. That's what helps build a man too. Faith in the face of adversity.
Mm-hmm. And I had that struggles, just everyday struggles. I had that.
Right.
And at the same time, I was beating a path, trying to gain any bit of knowledge that I could on my own. And then I'd take those things and I'd bring it to the men that I had in my life. I remember I was very lucky to have all these people in my life. But I remember driving. So I'd listen to podcasts, I'd listen to sermons all day, every day, all day long. And then I'd have like these hour-long car rides going from like work to school at night. And I'd like come to a stopping point, like in a podcast or in a book that I was listening to or something. And I'd have questions. So I remember I called my dad. I'd ask him, like, hey, have you ever dealt with this? Have you ever struggled with this? I'd call my uncles. I talk to my brother a lot. My brother's younger than me, and I look up to him.
Yeah.
Because he's an awesome dude.
Dude, Dexter is the bee's knees, so man. Much. Even though he's Dookie slinging right now and couldn't join us. I would talk to him. Hey, have you ever dealt with this? I wasn't, I'm the older brother. I know more than you. There's still stuff that I could learn from him. Even though he was, once you become an adult, and anybody who out there who has like brothers and stuff like that, kind of once you hit a certain age, and I don't know exactly what age that is, but there's a point in time when if you're the older brother, you have to like take out the ego and ask questions, have a relationship with your brother, and you can really learn from that person. And who better to learn from than your own blood too? Oh yeah. But that was a huge thing. And that's a whole nother story too of how me and him kind of built our relationship, because growing up we fought like cats and dogs. But I'd do that. I'd call these people and I'd run these new things that I learned by them, and I'd ask them for their life experience, for their opinion, and I let that mold me and help me become who I am. And I think that was huge in making me who I was, and then wanting to then pass some stuff on to you. I think that's huge. And so I think now that I'm sitting here thinking, I think we need to have. Dude, we have so much that we could go on with.
Yeah, I think we need to just start like picking topics
and just going with it.
And doing them
one by one. We need to just make a list and write them down, and then I'll just start coming over, and me and you can.
Yeah, we'll do it like once every other week or something.
Yeah.
Once a month or something like that. Maybe like once a month.
Yeah, something silly. We'll figure it out.
I think that'd be pretty cool. And we could talk about relationships.
Relationships is a good one.
Yeah, that's huge. We could talk about what it is to be a man.
Oh yeah. I think we did pretty good on attitude though.
Yeah, attitude's huge.
I think we've given, and that was the whole purpose of this specific episode, is to give younger guys a good foundation, a good start.
And I real quick, we're kind of getting to the end here, but what I really wanted to like paint a picture of Jarrett for all you guys out there, and because we had talked a lot, but I want to just bring it back and make it real simple and paint it with a broad brush.
Break it down.
I've watched you grow up and you know, get on this pathway of being a man, being a good man in your life. You started out, you didn't have the easiest life ever. There were some hardships.
Oh yeah.
And you had a fantastic attitude. And you went from this young, chubby kid in middle school to working hard, even while you were in school, doing your best, you know, learning discipline, learning some life lessons, asking for help, listening to people who were willing to guide you. And then you get out of high school and you shot off like a cannon. You went from one job to another. You had set your goals. You went from making, I'm not going to say how much you make, but you went from making not a lot of money to making a pretty dang decent amount of money for a 21-year-old. Right. Working a lot of hours, and that didn't come easy.
No.
You put the time in, you put the effort in, and like I look at your life right now. You have money in the bank. You're thinking about buying a house. You have a pretty much brand new truck.
Yep.
You have a great job. You have a girlfriend now. She seems pretty damn awesome.
She's pretty sweet shebang.
Yeah, she seems pretty awesome.
Yep.
And you know that could become something. So you have the right now at 21, you have the foundation of a fantastic life.
Right.
Now, there are many things that could come in and screw that up, which I don't think are going to happen because I know you. And if you start screwing this shit up, I'm going to kick your ass.
Ooh.
But you've built this foundation that right. is absolutely amazing. And a lot of it wasn't easy. A lot of it was hard work. And I'm like, I really just think that if more people could get on the track as early as you got onto it, like the sky's the limit.
Oh yeah.
Like like talking about changing lives. Like if more people could be, they don't have to be exactly like you, but just these little things, if they could do that, like they could really make an impact in life. They could put a freaking dent in the universe.
Oh yeah.
They got their, their heads on straight and started. And the reason why I kind of keep talking about like the younger kids, the younger generation, is because one thing you're going to find out once you get a little bit older is time is so valuable. And the earlier you start getting, like learning these things and putting them into practice and start becoming a better person, you just make your life exponentially better. And like,
That's good.
and just as a money thing, I'll use money because young kids kind of, they get at least that, they get money. Money isn't the end all be all, and it isn't. We can have a whole conversation about money, but
A whole podcast,
you
whole
do
episode.
you do need money to live life, especially once you're older. You shouldn't live your life only trying to get that. Again, whole nother conversation. But if you, let's say I'm 28 years old, and if I invested $10,000 right now of my money into, and I know the financial system right now is completely broken, the economy is kind of shit, but
Right.
if I invested my money at 28 right now, like $10,000 in 30 years, I mean, I could do the math for you, but anyone can go into like a mutual fund calculator, blah, 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 and figure out how much it would be. But it might would be like 300 grand.
Right.
If I was to put $10,000 away when I was 18 and go the same time period, let's just say I'd stop putting money in at 60. Let's say I wanted to retire at 60. And I started at 28. I put 10,000 in, and then when I got to 60, I was going to pull that money out and use it. It would be like 200 to like 400,000. If I was to start at 18 and put that 10 grand in, it would be like double or triple the amount.
Yeah, it's
Just
like
because
800,000 or like 900, like somewhere right around $1 million.
Yeah, just from starting a little bit earlier.
Yep.
And if you can understand that, take the money away and just do mindset. If you can get your mindset right at 18 or even earlier, it just grows. You get exponentially better. Your whole life gets exponentially better at everything else that you do. And the earlier you can learn those lessons, the earlier you can learn those things and put them into practice, your life isn't going to be perfect, but it can be so much better.
Yep.
And you are the example of that. I am like, I'll say it right here. Like, I am so proud of you for what you have done, what you've created, the life that you've created for yourself, all through hard work. Nothing was handed to you. Not one. There's nothing that's been handed to you. All the things that you've achieved, your job, your effort, your hard work, it's all came from you. Just putting in the time, putting in the effort. Nothing was handed to you. And I think, and you're doing so like it makes me so happy to see you.
Yep.
Just kicking ass in life. And I've told you this so many times. For you, the sky's the limit. Like, you have this solid foundation at 21. The sky's literally the limit. And you're gonna do way better things in life than a lot of the people that are your age right now. And I don't know. I'm happy for you. Proud of you.
I appreciate that. It means it means the world.
I know.
But I think if there's anything I can leave anybody before, we wrap up and get off here, it's that never think it's too late to start.
Oh yeah.
You can start whenever. You can start right now after this podcast. Of course, listening to us two goofballs probably won't convince you, but you'll learn eventually.
Yeah.
And so just work hard, get after it, and sky's the limit.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Well, thank you guys for checking out. If you guys want, if anyone out there wants to chat with us, we have a men's group Discord channel.
Yep.
And I'm kind of working on it. I'm pretty busy right now, and my time is pretty limited. But I do my best to post stuff in there, and we have all different types of sections. We do my friend Darren he freaking kicks ass too.
He's the man.
He has a daily Bible verse in here every single day. Just a little reminder. It's awesome. We have some of the topics that we've talked about in our men's group that we meet with, once or twice a month. There's memes. There's questions, there's suggestions, there's some health and fitness stuff, there's some crypto stuff, there's some motivational stuff, there's a book list, there's some news stuff on there. There's some different interesting stuff. Some of the stuff is older in there. Not everybody is super active, but if you want to join the Discord and start posting stuff in there, we would love that. We'll
Even if it's just a meme, just jump in there, say what's up, see what's going on. If you want to ask us questions, be more than welcome to. I'm sure you probably don't want to hear the answers, but if you have questions or anything, just feel free to shoot it.
Or one of the big things is if you're a young guy out there, if you're a younger guy out there, and you are like, you're hearing what we're saying, and you're like, man, I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody that I can go to and ask for advice or anything like that. We have probably 10 of the most solid guys that I know. And I'm not kidding you when I say my friends that I have are the best people in the entire world. I honestly believe that is the truth. All these guys that I have in this group, they have my back no matter what. And that is a fantastic thing to have in life. And they will all, if you need help or you have questions about whatever it is, we'll do our best to help you. So, join the Discord. Throw a question in there. There's a questions tab. There's also gaming channels. So if anyone's online, sometimes they'll hop in a channel and chat. So if any of you guys want to hop in that, check it out. I'd love to have you. The link is it's in the description. So that's kind of getting open to everybody now. But I hope you guys have a fantastic night.
It was a wonderful. It was an enlightening experience.
Yeah, we'll do more of this because this is something that I'm really passionate about. Is helping.
No, that's good, man.
Helping men and helping especially younger men, because you guys have all the potential in the world to do great things.
Even if you don't know it yet, you do.
Even if you don't know yet, if you're a younger man, again, older guys, you can start whenever. But man, you younger guys, I hope you can understand the potential that you have just with time. But with all that up, wrapping it up, thank you guys. Thank you for checking out the channel.
We love y'all. Enjoy it.
Jarrett,
It's a
Lindsey.
pleasure to be here. Jarrett, Lindsey, and then we have D. Evans.
Oh, yeah.
And that's about it.
All right. You guys take